Hello and welcome to Mindful Mondays. Today's topic is the question, what do you do when you feel like you don't have time to pray? If you're ever going to feel like you don't have time to pray, the holiday season is the perfect candidate for that to happen. We pile a lot more stuff to do into this time of year, from extra family or friend gatherings, to extra holiday-related projects at work or school, to carving out time to bake special food for the season, to shopping for and wrapping gifts, to decorating our homes and maybe even our yards, and more. And of course, for the most part, while we're doing that, it's not like we are doing less of our usual everyday stuff. Probably your hours at work are not reduced during this season. In fact, if you have kids, likely they're out of school more than usual during this season, and maybe you're scrambling to figure out how to keep them occupied and properly supervised. And everyday tasks and chores, the ones that keep your household running, well, those don't take a holiday season break, do they? And the semi-annual time change has just happened not long ago. So maybe you're starting the mornings out in the dark and you're coming home in the dark. And that just adds to this pressing feeling that there is too much to do and not enough time to do it in. So how is a person supposed to find time to pray? There's a thought-provoking quote from Martin Luther that says, "I have so much to do today that I shall spend the first 3 hours in prayer." And I'm not here today to suggest that what you need to do is up your game to the first 3 hours of your day in prayer. I mean, if you can, awesome. But I'm not here to swing that over your head. But I do think that Luther was on to something important here, which is when we have more to do, when we're carrying more of a burden, when we have more responsibility, then it's more important than ever that we focus in on God and on prayer. In that time and space, we are made wiser and stronger. And by stronger, I mean more connected to the Lord. I don't mean more self-sufficient. In that time, we grow in discernment, and discernment helps us to prioritize and schedule and decide in ways that work better. And also discernment may help us to put down unnecessary things that we've picked up and added to our lives in a moment of maybe not being 100% wise. We're in that space, we are filled with peace, which helps us not to scramble around like, as the old saying goes, a chicken with your head cut off. Prayer is a little like tithing in this. If we give God the first and the best, then the rest works out. With tithing, it's your money. With prayer, it's your time. The rest works out. There's some kind of God economy that works that out. But in practical terms, how do we find the time to pray? Well, I have just a few suggestions. So one is schedule it. A lot of things in our lives don't happen because even though we mean to do them, we don't schedule them. So make a plan, make a schedule, write it down, and even if life, once in a while turns upside down and you miss a prayer time, you're immensely more likely to pray if you've planned for the prayer time. Chester Bing is giving his own input in the background. My apologies. 2, create a space. If there are things around you that beckon for your attention and call you to get up and get busy, you're less likely to stay in focused prayer. So create a space that's warm and inviting and not distracting, a place where you want to be, a space that doesn't remind you of how long your to-do list is. If you try to do it in front of the dirty dishes, I don't know how you're going to get that done. If you try to do it beside 3 baskets of laundry that need folded, really, is that going to work? So I have created this space a lot of different ways in my life over the years. In some of the homes I've lived in, I've had a corner of a room or sometimes an entire room that was just set aside, entirely devoted to being prayer space. When I had a 45-minute work commute each day, I just made my car into my prayer chamber and I spent the drive to and from work in prayer and worship. When I lived in Chicago, what I did was walk to the shore of Lake Michigan most days for a period of focused and concentrated prayer. That just really spoke to me, that space did. And once I belonged to a church that was just down the street from the place I worked at the time, and I happened to have the keys for the church. And so I would stop in the morning and spend focused time in prayer in the big empty church with the music turned up loud, and it really helped to just set the tone for my days. Now, if none of these ideas work for you or inspire you, I did read about a mama who lived in poverty and she had a ton of kids, and her prayer space was literally to lift her apron up over her face, just to block the world out. And the other thing that the apron did was it told her kids, don't talk to mama right now, she's talking to Jesus. So for her, it was the space she had available to her. It was the way that she drove the distractions out. She put her apron over her face. So make a space for prayer, whatever that looks like in your life. It doesn't have to look the way it looks in my life. 3, if you're still protesting that I do not have time in my day for prayer, even if I make the space, there's no spot on the schedule, I just don't have time. Here's what I would encourage you. Check your weekly Facebook report to see how much time you've been spending on Facebook every day. It will give you a report once a week. I hate that report. Check your text messages on your phone. Try to get an idea of how much of your day you spend on text message or on Snapchat or on Instagram. Maybe keep a written log for a week about how much time that you spend on Netflix, Hulu, television, the internet. Just do it for a week with very few exceptions. Most of us are killing way plenty time, and we do have room in our lives for prayer. It's just a matter of making it a priority and a plan. And finally, if you're praying very little or not at all, then maybe don't try to jump in with a 2-hour prayer time daily at the top. Maybe find 10 minutes, 5 minutes, I don't know, and let it be a fully focused 10 minutes. And try to just do that regularly for a while. Just carve out your 10 minutes. And I think you'll find that as you are faithful to that, as you honor that, as you participate in that, life will open you up more than 10 minutes. Generally, that's pretty consistently true. Heading into the holidays, it is really wise to focus in on prayer so that you don't get sucked into the whirlwind and spend the whole month stressed out by all the things of the holidays that might be good, but that also really take a lot out of us. And starting this prayer habit now is a good precedent to prepare you to dive into 2019, running strong. Don't wait for a New Year's resolution. Start it now so you can just continue it into 2019. I would love to hear how that goes for you. That's all I have for now. You have a blessed week, and I will see you next time.